What's up guys, my name is Westy and today I'm here with a little bit of a sad story about Battlefield 3. So let's begin. Once upon a time in Bad Company 2 there was a gun called the G3. In this game it required you to get to level 22 and it was immediately unlocked for you. You could go through many games of Rush, Conquest, the like, coming across players using this gun left, right and centre, much like the M16 in Battlefield 3 today. Many people like using it because it had a high damage at close range, at medium range it was fairly accurate, and at long range if you used burst mode then it became extremely accurate. Now I was one of the players who liked using the G3 for its extreme power at close quarters, because if you're going around a corner it was quite easy to kill an enemy if it was standing right there. But to my dismay, in Battlefield 3 DICE decided to make it a co-op weapon, where you were required to go and play the co-op missions in order to unlock it. This leads me to think that it was kind of forgotten about in the community, and to be honest, it's such a great rifle that I think it should be brought to everyone's attention that this rifle rocks. Right, enough story now, let's get down to the nitty gritty. To unlock the G3A3 you need to get 160,000 points in co-op mode. This has been significantly reduced from 441,000 points that you used to have to achieve before the third patch for Battlefield 3. And this is, I think, the first reason why the G3A3 was kind of forgotten about in Battlefield 3. 441,000 points in co-op is a hell of a lot of points to try and get. And you'd have to play the missions maybe twice, maybe 3 times over to get that many points. And I think DICE and EA realised this when they released the third patch, because as we've just seen, they've knocked it down by about 300,000 points that you had to achieve to get the G3A3, which made it a little bit more achievable. Now, as I've already said, in Bad Company 2 the G3 was a very popular gun at close range. Now, we know the gun mechanics between Battlefield 3 and Bad Company 2 are slightly different, so the weapons are different in each game, and in the G3A3 in Battlefield 3 has a low rate of fire and a high recoil, and a very low magazine capacity, so at close range it would seem like you wouldn't be able to do a fair amount of use with it. But in fact I find that the complete opposite. If you can learn to burst fire this thing, which you can see behind you, I've been doing a lot, and actually switching it to single fire mode on the gun itself, this gun becomes very handleable at close range. If you have single fire mode selected, I'd say it's more like using a semi-automatic sniper rifle at close range. I guess you have to count for the first shot recoil multiplier like you do with any other weapon, and especially in single fire mode that can become quite an issue, but I would still say that the G3 is quite handleable at close range, so I think that's kind of a misinterpretation really. And I guess we're coming on to the second point, which is its low magazine count. Now the G3A3 with a fully loaded clip will have 21 bullets in it. That's 10 less than every other assault rifle in its class. Now that's a major put-off. Well, it used to be a major put-off for someone like me, because I preferred like the high rate of fire weapons like the AEK and the M16. But coming to use the G3A3 after a while, and you think, well, its low rate of fire doesn't make too much of a difference because there's something special about its damage output. The G3A3 is the only assault rifle in its class to have a different damage output than any of the others. This gun has a damage of 34 inside 10 meters, dropping off to 22 inside 60 meters. Every other assault rifle in the assault or the medic class has a starting damage output of only 25, so the G3A3 automatically has a 9-point damage sort of advantage over every other assault rifle, which can be extremely helpful in close quarter situations. This increase in damage over every other assault rifle means that at close quarters it can be a 3-hit kill, and going up to long range that's only 5 hits a kill, so this can be extremely powerful. The downside to having this high damage output is the maximum distance at which a bullet can travel. The G3A3 only has a bullet velocity of 500 meters per second and a maximum range of 750 meters. However, it's not likely that you're going to be engaging an enemy at 750 meters with an assault rifle. You can try it, but you won't have a great amount of success anyway, so you're more likely to be doing sort of medium range gun battles, and the G3A3 will win most of those gun battles. It's when you're coming up against weapons like the M16 and the AEK, the faster firing weapons, and the FAMAS for old time's sake, even though it's a bit nerfed now. Coming up against weapons like that, you're going to struggle to win gun battles, but if you can get the first shot off with that first damage inside 10 meters, then you're going to likely be able to win that gun battle. Okay, so now we've talked about the gun in general, we're going to talk a little bit about what's probably the best setup to run this gun as. And I would probably have to say that you should start with a flash suppressor. I think the flash suppressor is a great attachment for this gun because it actually reduces vertical recoil by 27.5% per bullet. That's a hell of a lot more than the 18 to 25% of lower recoil weapons such as the AEK and the M16. This will make the G3A3 more controllable at close range, and when burst firing at medium to long range it will reduce your vertical recoil, which makes it easier to hit your target. To complement the flash suppressor, I'd probably say to use the foregrip. That just reduces sort of horizontal recoil only a little bit, but not too much, and it just makes the weapon again more controllable at close range. So I guess that sort of sorts it out for close range combat, but what if you want to do some long range combat? For that, I'd sort of suggest using like sort of a medium powered scope, maybe the PKA 3.4 or the ACOG 4x optic, and then pair that with a heavy barrel. If you use this setup paired with the semi-automatic fire mode or the single fire mode, as it's the G3A3 and that's the only one that's supported, then you'll find it extremely easy to hit headshots at long range. And if you're really going to go for the long range shots, you can equip a bipod and then switch it to single fire mode and aim for the head and use that high damage output to your advantage. So that pretty much covers the G3A3. It's a brilliant weapon at close quarters for me. I find it really easy to use. But I'm really using it for long range combat at the moment, or maybe medium to long range is probably a better description, because it's just got such a high damage output that you can take down enemies much quicker and much further away from objectives than you would with, say, an M16 or an AEK. Plus the weapon sounds beast. It sounds better than any other assault rifle that you fire. It's got a low drum to it, kicks in a lot of bass into your subwoofer if you've got one, or some high powered headphones like I've got as well, and it just makes you sound beast on the battlefield. So if you have got access to the G3A3, I really suggest that you try some of these setups, maybe even set up your own, and drop me in the comments to let me know how you get on. But I think you should really be using the G3A3 because it's kind of been forgotten about, and it's such a good weapon if you know how to use it properly. Well, that about wraps up this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a like, and comments are always appreciated as well. I'm down there always replying to comments and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been Westy. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.